Brain fog is frustrating because you can be doing all the right things and still feel slow, forgetful, or mentally cloudy. If that's you, the goal isn't to blame yourself. It's to spot hidden mismatches between a habit and your body's needs. Some habits are healthy in general, but the dose, timing, or your personal context can turn them into a brain fog trigger. Think of this as a troubleshooting checklist. We'll go through 7 common healthy habits that can backfire, plus simple adjustments you can test without getting extreme. And as we go, notice patterns, like low energy in the morning, a crash after lunch, or trouble focusing late afternoon. Those patterns often point to the real lever. One more thing, brain fog can also come from medical issues like thyroid problems, anemia, sleep apnea, or medication side effects. So treat this as information, not a diagnosis. Let's start with the first habit that surprises a lot of people: eating too clean and too low calorie for too long. Moving to slide 2, habit number 1, chronic undereating, even if the food quality is great. If you're consistently in a big calorie deficit, your brain may downshift. The brain is energy hungry, and when fuel feels scarce, focus and motivation can drop. You might notice cold hands, irritability, lightheadedness, or that you can't think clearly until you eat. This can happen with clean eating that's low in starches and fats, or with small portions that never quite satisfy you. A simple test is to add one structured balanced meal for a week, enough protein, enough carbs, and enough fat to feel steady for 3 to 4 hours. Also, watch meal timing. Long gaps can work for some people, but for others they create a predictable fog window. The adjustment isn't to abandon healthy food. It's to match intake to your activity, stress level, and sleep. If your life is demanding, your brain often needs more fuel, not less. Moving to slide 3. Habit number 2. Going very low carb without realizing how it affects you. Some people feel sharp on lower carbs. Others feel flat, anxious, or foggy, especially during the first weeks or if they train hard. Carbs aren't required in a moral sense, but glucose is a fast fuel the brain readily uses. If your sleep is short, your stress is high, or you do intense workouts, very low carb can feel like running your brain on a backup generator. Another issue is electrolytes. Lower carb eating can increase fluid and sodium loss, and that can show up as headaches, fatigue, and mental haze. A practical approach is to personalize your carb floor. Try adding a moderate serving of carbs at the time you most need mental performance, often breakfast or lunch. Think oats, rice, potatoes, fruit, or legumes. Then track your clarity for a week. If you feel better, you've learned something important about your baseline needs. Moving to slide 4. Habit number 3, intermittent fasting that's too aggressive for your schedule. Fasting can be a useful tool, but it's not automatically better. If you're pushing long fasting windows while also juggling stress, poor sleep, or heavy workloads, your body may interpret it as another stressor. For some people, that means higher cortisol, shakier energy, and worse concentration, especially in the late morning. You might also overcompensate later with a huge meal that leads to a post-meal crash. A more brain-friendly version is to shorten the fast and stabilize the first meal. For example, instead of skipping breakfast entirely, try a protein-forward meal earlier, or a smaller bridge meal that prevents the mental dip. Also consider caffeine. If coffee is the only thing in your system for hours, it can amplify jitters and fog later. The point is flexibility. If fasting improves your life, keep it. If it steals your focus, adjust the window, not your self-discipline. Moving to slide 5. Habit number 4. Drinking healthy beverages that quietly dehydrate you or spike you. Coffee and tea can be great, but the dose and timing matter. If you rely on multiple coffees to function, you can end up in a cycle. Stimulation, then a dip, then more stimulation. That dip often feels like brain fog. Add in not enough water or salt and the fog gets worse. Another sneaky one is sugar-free energy drinks or pre-workouts. Even without sugar, strong stimulants can fragment sleep, and poor sleep is one of the fastest routes to mental haze. A simple reset is to cap caffeine earlier in the day and pair it with food. Also try a hydration check. Pale yellow urine, fewer headaches, and steadier energy are good signs. If you sweat a lot, you may need more sodium, not just more water. The goal isn't to quit coffee. It's to stop using it as a substitute for sleep, food, and hydration. Moving to slide 6. Habit number 5. Overtraining, especially when it's paired with under-recovery. Exercise supports brain health, but more is not always better. If you're doing intense sessions most days, stacking cardio and lifting, or never taking true easy days, your nervous system can stay in a stress state. That can look like brain fog, low motivation, irritability, and sleep that feels light. You might also notice your resting heart rate creeping up, or your performance stalling. The fix is often boring but effective. Add recovery on purpose. That can mean 2 to 3 low-intensity days per week, more walking, and fewer all-out sessions. Strength training can be adjusted too. Leave a couple reps in the tank instead of grinding every set. Also check fuel. Hard training with low carbs and low calories is a common fog recipe. If you want a quick experiment, take a deload week and increase sleep by even 30 to 60 minutes. If your mind clears, you weren't lazy, you were under-recovered. Moving to slide 7. Habit number 6. Healthy sleep routines that are rigid but not restorative. A strict bedtime is great, but quality matters more than perfection. If you're in bed for 8 hours but waking unrefreshed, brain fog is predictable. 2 common culprits are light and temperature. A room that's too warm can reduce deep sleep, and even small light exposure can disrupt the sleep cycle. Another issue is alcohol, even in small, socially healthy amounts. It can make you sleepy, but it often fragments sleep later. Also consider sleep apnea, especially if you snore, wake with a dry mouth, or feel tired despite enough time in bed. A practical approach is to optimize the basics: cool, dark, quiet, and consistent. Then look at what you do in the last hour. Calming routines help, but if you're forcing sleep while stressed, it can backfire. The aim is restorative sleep, not a perfect sleep score. Moving to slide 8. Habit number 7. Healthy snacking and grazing. Many people switch from processed snacks to nuts, granola, smoothies, or protein bars and assume it's automatically better. The problem is constant eating can keep insulin and digestion active all day, and that can create energy swings. Some snacks are also calorie-dense but not very filling, so you get both brain fog and frustration. Smoothies are a big one. They can be nutritious, but they're easy to drink fast, often low in fiber, and sometimes high in sugar. That can lead to a quick rise and then a crash. A simple fix is to build meals that actually hold you. Aim for protein at each meal, add fiber from whole foods, and include enough fat to slow digestion. Then, if you snack, make it intentional and structured, not constant. Many people feel clearer with fewer eating events, as long as meals are satisfying. It's not about willpower, it's about stable physiology. Moving to slide 9. Now let's talk about a habit that sounds unquestionably healthy: drinking a lot of water. Hydration matters, but overdoing plain water, especially with low salt intake, can dilute sodium and leave you feeling weak, headachy, and foggy. This is more likely if you sweat a lot, do endurance workouts, use saunas, or drink water constantly just in case. Your brain is sensitive to fluid balance, and sodium helps maintain it. The goal isn't to load up on salt blindly. It's to match fluids to losses. A practical check is to notice thirst, urine color, and how you feel during the day. If you're drinking huge amounts and still feel off, consider whether you're replacing electrolytes through food. Broths, salted meals, and mineral-rich foods can help. If you have blood pressure or kidney concerns, this is a conversation for a clinician. But for many healthy people, the fix for brain fog isn't more water. It's smarter hydration. Water plus the minerals that help your body use it. Moving to slide 10. Another healthy habit that can backfire is going ultra-low fat for long periods. Dietary fat supports hormones, helps you absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, and it's a building block for brain tissue. If your diet is mostly lean protein, vegetables, and low-fat everything, you might be missing the fats that help you feel stable and satisfied. The brain fog connection is often indirect. Low fat can make meals less filling, which leads to undereating, cravings, and energy dips. It can also reduce absorption of key nutrients that support cognition. A simple adjustment is to add a consistent, moderate fat source to meals: olive oil, avocado, nuts, seeds, eggs, or fatty fish. You don't need extremes. You're looking for steadier energy and fewer cravings between meals. And if you're also low carb and low fat, that's a double squeeze on fuel. Many people feel clearer when at least one of those energy sources is adequate. Moving to slide 11. Let's add one more that's common among health-conscious people: oversupplementing. Supplements can be useful, but stacking many products can create interactions, side effects, or simply the wrong dose for you. For example, too much magnesium can cause digestive issues that disrupt sleep. High-dose B vitamins can feel stimulating for some people. Iron should generally not be taken unless there's a reason, because excess can be harmful. Even natural sleep aids can leave you groggy the next day. The brain fog pattern here is often you start supplements to fix low energy, then you add more, and now you can't tell what's helping and what's hurting. A clean approach is to simplify. Keep only what has a clear purpose, a reasonable dose, and a noticeable benefit. Change one thing at a time and give it a week or two. And if you suspect a deficiency like B12, vitamin D, or iron, testing is more reliable than guessing. Supplements should support the basics, not replace them. Food, sleep, and stress management still do most of the work. Moving to slide 12. Here's how to actually use these habits as a brain fog troubleshooting system. First, pick the most likely to based on your pattern. If your fog hits late morning, look at fasting and caffeine. If it hits after workouts, look at carbs, calories, and recovery. If it's all day, look at sleep quality and overall intake. Second, run a simple experiment for 7 to 10 days. Change one variable, not 5. Otherwise, you'll never know what worked. Third, track only a few signals: energy from 1 to 10, focus from 1 to 10, and one symptom like headaches or cravings. Keep it quick. Fourth, be honest about stress. High stress can make almost any healthy habit feel worse because your margin is smaller. And finally, if brain fog is new, severe, or paired with symptoms like fainting, chest pain, or major mood changes, get checked. The goal is not to biohack your way out of a real medical issue. It's to remove the avoidable friction, so your brain can do what it's designed to do. Moving to slide 13. Let's wrap this up with the big idea. Brain fog isn't a character flaw, and it isn't proof that healthy living doesn't work. It's often a sign that something is slightly miscalibrated. Too much restriction, too much intensity, or not enough recovery. The 7 habits to watch are chronic undereating, going too low carb for your needs, aggressive fasting, caffeine patterns that create dips, overtraining, sleep that isn't restorative, and constant healthy snacking. Then we added 2 common amplifiers: too much plain water without minerals, and ultra-low-fat eating. You don't need to fix everything at once. Pick one adjustment that feels realistic and test it. If you want a simple starting point, prioritize sleep quality and adequate food. Those 2 change the fastest for most people. If this was helpful, subscribe for more practical health breakdowns that focus on what actually works in real life. And for the comments, which one do you suspect most? A, fasting and caffeine, or B, undereating and overtraining? This information is not a substitute for medical advice. Health is not